Hi my loves, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video we'll be learning how to make this beautiful bubu gown. It has a pocket by the sides and it also has a v-neck and a fringe at the down part. So if this is something you're interested in learning, please keep on watching this video and let's get right into the tutorial. So for this tutorial I have limited amount of fabric. I think I have less than 2 years to make this bubu gown. So the first thing I did was that I folded my fabric into 2 equal halves and I divided it into 2. That way I know the amount of fabric that I'm going to use for the front part and for the back part. Then the next thing I'll be doing is that from my shoulder line I'll come down to my waistline and I will mark that, and then I will extend my tape and also mark my hip line from my waistline, and then I'm also going to mark my actual bubu length, which is 35 inches. So the next thing I want to do now is that on the starting line I'm going to mark my back measurements, my client's back measurements, which is 7.5 inches. I mark that, and the next thing that I'll be marking now is my neck width. So I make the width 3 inches, and you know the front is a v-neck. So after marking that 3 inches, I'm going to come down. I'm so sorry that it's not showing very well on camera. I'm going to come down by 8 inches for my neckline depth because it is a v-neck. So the next thing I will do now is that I'll bring my straight ruler and connect my neck width and my neck depth together with my straight ruler. So I won't be measuring the length of my sleeve because I don't have much fabric. I have limited fabric, so the rest I'm just going to use it as my sleeve. Initially the plan was that I was going to make the length of the sleeve 12 inches. So now I'm measuring the width of the sleeve, which I marked at 11 inches. So after that, the next thing I'll be doing is that I'll be marking my hip measurement divided by 4. I mark that, whatever it is that you have, just mark it, and then I'll be adding 5 inches allowance. It depends on you. If you want your bubu to be more big, you can add 6 inches, 7 inches, depends on you, but that 5 inches is okay for me. And then I'm just going to connect it to the marking, to that 11 inches marking for my sleeve width. Just do whatever it is that I'm doing in this video. You can decide to use your regular, you can decide to use your freehand, just as I'm doing. Just make sure that you connect it from your sleeve width to the length of your bubu. You can see how easy this is. We are basically now done with the drafting of the front pattern. The next thing we want to do now is just to cut out on all the lines that you have marked. Make sure that you are cutting on the lines that you have marked. There's really no big deal to this bubu gown making. It is very easy. So now we are going to cut the back pattern. What I did now is that I just folded the remaining fabric that I have into 2. Since this is a bubu gown, we really do not need to add any zipper allowance or anything. I'm just going to be tracing it out. So the same way we mark 3 inches for the neck width of the front pattern is the same way we are going to be marking 3 inches for the neck width of this back pattern. So what I'm doing now is that I'm marking my 3 inches. So the next thing I'll be doing now is that I'll be marking my neck depth, and the neck depth I made it 1.5 inches. That is perfect for me. I made it 1.5 inches, and then I just used my free hand to just curve it around. And then the next thing that I did was that I went ahead to just arrange my front piece very well on my back piece, and then I just used my scissors to just trace it out on the same line that I used for my front piece. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be cutting facing for both my front piece and my back piece. This one is very easy. I just placed my back piece. This is my back piece. I just placed it on the small fabric that I folded and just traced it out with my scissors on the neckline. And then when I remove it, I'm just going to cut out any shape that I like. You can make it curve, you can make it straight. So I just made it straight and just cut it out, and that is going to be my facing for the back piece. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my front piece. I just folded the fabric that I felt that is enough. I placed my front piece on it. I traced out the neckline, and then I'm just going to cut it out the same way that I also cut my back part. So I actually did my facing stitching off camera. But I'm going to explain what I did. What I did was that I placed my facing and my actual fabric right sides facing each other, and I stitched it on the neckline with half of an inch, and then the down part that is also kind of rough, I used my hemming gum to make it neat with my pressing iron, I'm sure everybody knows how to do that. I just press the inside with my hemming gum and iron so that the inside can be neat. So the next thing we are going to be doing now is that we'll move now to joining the front piece and the back piece on the shoulder. So I place the two right sides facing each other, and I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch it with half of an inch, and I'm going to bring it back for you guys to see. So now that I'm done stitching the shoulder part, this is what it looks like. You can see how the inside that you are seeing, the inside of the clothes, you can see how neat it is. So the next thing I want to do now is that I want to work on the side pocket. So since I'm working with limited fabric, it is this same fabric that I'm going to use for the two side pockets. So I just folded it into two equal halves. I'm going to split it open, and then I'm going to use one part for the right side and one part for the left side. So after splitting it open, I also went ahead to fold it again the second time. And this time around, on the down part, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. I am going to mark that, and then I'm going to place my hand on this pocket. I'm going to spread my hand open on this pocket, and then from that 1 inch, I'm just going to trace my hand, my fingers around, and just make a curve line around the pocket. And then that's how easy it is to draft out your pocket. So I'm just going to cut out the folded fabric on all the lines that I've ruled. I'm going to cut out the curved line. Please make sure that you are cutting on the line that you ruled with your chalk. And after cutting it out, this is what I have for my pockets. Please make sure that yours is looking exactly the same way as mine is looking. So to get I'm going to be sewing my pockets to my bubu gown. I came down from my shoulder by 17 inches, and then I am going to be pinning. I marked that on the back part also. I'm going to be pinning my pockets with my pin. I'm going to pin it right sides facing each other. You know that it's going to go inside. So right sides facing each other, I'm going to pin it, and then that is where I'm going to stitch on. I'm going to do the same thing for the front parts and the back parts on the two sides. So this is how it is going to look like. So I did the same thing, marked my 17 on the back part, placed my pockets right sides facing each other, and then that is how I'm going to stitch it. So after pinning that, I'm going to work on my sleeve area. You know that earlier we did not fold in this sleeve, so now I'm going to go over to the sewing machine now and just fold in my sleeve at the edge by 1 inch sewing allowance. Just fold it in 2 times, the normal way that we fold the sleeve. Just fold it 2 times and stitch it around. So now we are going to work on the side. So for the side, I'm going to be stitching my bubu with 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'm going to stitch from the sleeve part, and when I get to my pockets, I'm going to sew around the pockets and then sew straight down. I am not going to sew the line in front of the pockets. I'm not going to sew it straight the way I would sew a regular bubu without pockets, because if I sew it that way, my pocket is not going to open. So just sew it the same way that I explained it in this video. And now that I'm done stitching the side, stitching the sleeve, this is what my bubu gown is looking like. You can see that it is already taking shape. So the next thing that we are going to be doing now is that you see that down part that we are going to be attaching our fringe to. That is where we are going to be working on now. So I went ahead now to fold it in with 1 inch sewing allowance. I folded it in 2 times, but I did not stitch it. I used my pressing iron to press it very, very well, so that I am not confused and my down part is not looking funny. So I pressed it first, and the next thing I'll be doing now is that I'm just going to bring my fringe now, and then I'll fold. I have about 2 yards of fringe here. Just buy 2 yards. Don't even do the mistake of buying 1.5. Buy 2 yards. You will not finish it, but buy 2 yards. So I folded my 2 yards of fringe into 2. I got to the midpoint. I marked the midpoint with my chalk. I'm also going to do the same thing for my bubu gown. I'm going to mark the midpoint of my bubu gown also in the front. If you want to start from the back, oh no, I would advise that you start from the front. So just mark that also, and then you bring your fringe now, and then just place the fringe under the fabric. make sure that that sewable part of the fringe is under your bubu gown, and then you just hold it with your pin. You see what I'm doing now? Pin it. You can decide to pin it round, but the pinning that I did in the front is okay for me because this is not my first time making this particular style. So just use your pin to pin it, and then you sew it round. And please make sure that your stitches are very, very neat. So that's basically all. You can see how simple this bubu gown is. Please make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed, share this video to your friends, and till I see you all again in my next video, bye.